And I just want to start, of course, by welcoming everyone. Thank you so much. I mentioned this a minute ago, but we had 150 people register for this event, which is very exciting. It was a larger turnout than what I expected. So I thank you all so much for being here. I thank you to everyone who shared the event, who made others aware of it and invited others to join. I think it'll be really beneficial. Part of the reason that we wanted to have this event was as a way to kind of kick off for Sexual Assault Awareness Month. As many of you know, Sexual Assault Awareness Month takes place in April. And it's a month honoring sexual assault survivors, discussing sexual assault topics and what we can do to better prevent assault and support survivors. And those things are central to We Will's mission. And so we just thank you for joining and for getting involved in these events. So our kickoff is just kind of to raise awareness, to get everyone geared up and excited to participate in this wonderful month honoring survivors. One major event that We Will holds during Sexual Assault Awareness Month is a Sexual Assault Awareness Walk. And this year we're actually going to be combining that with a 5K. So this is an annual event for us, but this year is going to be the first annual 5K for it. And we're going to be fundraising for that as well, for funds for We Will. And so we just look forward to all of the support that you can give to us. Without further ado, we're going to start with our first speaker, Jenna Lawlor. I believe I saw her join. I'll just give a brief introduction to Jenna. Jenna is a survivor and a wife, a dog mom, a toast lover, and an advocate. She is currently a grad student at Brigham Young University studying sex education and mindfulness. Her goal is to create a world free of sexual violence, where everyone can find love, be safe, and develop their amazing selves. So Jenna, would you like to go ahead?
Yes, thank you so much for joining me and allowing me to speak. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm so happy to see so many people joining. I think this is a really important topic to be discussing. So I had a little PowerPoint. Brittany, do you think that you could let me share my screen, or I don't know how?
Absolutely. Let me go ahead and just make you a host. I was planning to share the screen, but I think it's better if you just do it.
You're totally fine.
Okay.
Okay, let me pull this up real quick. Okay, can everyone see that? Cool. All right, so like Brittany said, I am at BYU studying sex education and mindfulness. I also do a lot of research on sexual violence prevention. And I've been so lucky to work with Brittany Herman and be familiar with her research. It's amazing. And together we have been able to really dive into the research and confidently say that there are ways to prevent sexual violence. And so today I just want to kind of walk you through some of the ways that research has shown and associated that we can prevent sexual violence. And then at the end, I just want to kind of talk about applicable ways this month, something that we each can do to be a part of this work and to prevent sexual violence. All right, okay. So this is something that I teach. I teach a sex education course at a elementary school. Well, I guess it's a elementary middle school. I teach sex education to 8th grade students. And this is one of the first things that I talk to them about. And it's going to be the underlying message of my presentation today, is that we are sexual beings and we are so much more than that. We each have so many unique aspects to ourselves, where we are all comprised of so many different parts and so many different aspects. And so this is such an important message for me to share with people, because as we join in the fight to prevent sexual violence, I think it's really important to be spreading the message, especially to children, but also to incorporate this into our own lives. and be willing to acknowledge that we are sexual beings, and that's wonderful and amazing. And along with that, we should also be developing every other aspect of who we are. Unfortunately, with sexual violence, a lot of times this can lead victims to feel over-sexualized or even under-sexualized by being afraid of their sexuality, kind of suppressing it. And that's one of the sad realities of sexual violence, is that it harms the beauty of sexuality. It takes away from all the different aspects of who we are. And so by ending sexual violence, by preventing it, we allow people to really explore who they are, what they value. And that's one of the most important things that we can be doing. So my goal with preventing sexual violence, this is my goal. And you can all have a different kind of idea in mind of why does this matter to you? Why do you want to be a part of preventing sexual violence? I really want to be a part of raising a generation of children who are taught about sex and sexuality without shame. Shame has so many negative consequences, and it can lead to lashing out. It can lead to behavior that is not in line with one's values, and it can lead to sexual violence. I want to raise a generation of children that have safe and loving relationships, and that practice respect, that they understand consent, and they honor their values. And that is in regards to sexuality and just their life in general. So today we're going to be talking about changing risk factors that contribute to sexual violence on 3 levels: the individual level, the familial level or relationships, and then societal level. So these are risk factors that have been identified through research. And I think it's really important to look at ourselves while we're doing this to figure out how we can apply these in ourselves. I will preface this by saying, and I'm sure a lot of us who are attending this are familiar, but a very unfortunate aspect of sexual violence prevention programs is that they have focused on teaching women how to protect themselves and teaching women how to do certain things or dress a certain way. And I really want to change that and make this a community effort for everyone, despite gender. I mean, research does show that women are more likely to be sexually assaulted than men. So that is a sad reality that we are living with. But in conjunction with that, I think that we need to be working together, and that men and boys can be allies for women. And I do recognize that men experience sexual assault as well, and it's very real, and it's harmful to anyone who experiences it. So along with that, the first thing we can do is to apply individual changes. This includes letting go of harmful gender norms, such as the belief that men are the ones who are assertive, men are sexually assertive and always seeking for sexual activities, that women are submissive and that they are inferior to men. Those are harmful gender norms that don't serve us as individuals. Now, I want to clarify that it's okay if you do subscribe to traditional gender norms, as in, if you feel like you like being more feminine, then that's great. If you feel like you like to be more masculine, that's great. But a gender norm becomes harmful when it's taking away the choice of someone else, when it's forcing someone else to act a certain way, and it's been associated with violence. And traditional gender norms that I talked about before, those have been associated with sexual violence. And so it's really important to teach our children and to teach the upcoming generation that they should be who they want to be and not force someone else to act a certain way, especially when it comes to sexuality. And then just having general concern for other people, being aware that your actions affect people and that it can have real consequences for others. And then bystander intervention is also very important. If you see something, say something. This is especially important for men who might be around other men who say things that are offensive to women, who treat women poorly. It's important for men to stand up and be those allies and start to break down those harmful attitudes and behaviors that sometimes our society has kind of just fallen into. So on the relationship level, this is something that is really important to me personally because I love studying relationships. So research has shown that children who are raised in loving homes are less likely to perpetrate sexual violence. Whereas children who have been raised in a home where there's a lot of conflict that ends in violence, when there's a lot of abuse going on, it turns into a cycle of abuse. And so one of the best ways that we can break that chain is to create healthy relationships ourselves. To learn how to handle conflict in constructive ways. You know, everyone has conflict. There's no way to avoid it, but there are healthy ways to handle it. Talking through it, taking a break if you're feeling heated. Those are really easy ways to model healthy conflict for children. And then emotional support is also a very, very important factor in preventing sexual violence. When children feel like their needs are being met, they are able to develop themselves and they are less likely to turn to violence and those kinds of behaviors. And then just being around people who value the same things as you do. And with relationships, I just want to say really quick that a healthy relationship involves trust, it involves respecting boundaries, being committed to your partner, and being passionate about who you are. So it's great to have all of these different aspects when you're in a romantic relationship with someone. And this is a great way to prevent a relationship from becoming abusive. So the reason I bring this up, like I said before, children who are taught and modeled healthy things are less likely to display abusive behavior themselves. And so we can literally raise a generation of children who don't display harmful violent behaviors because they have been exposed to all of these healthy things. And that really is my hope. And I'm very hopeful that we can do that. So lastly, with societal changes, these are things that are a little bit more abstract, but as we apply those individual and relationship changes, it's overall going to affect society. So obviously having laws that support survivors and really being able to discipline sexual violence perpetrators. It's important to hold people accountable. And you know, we hope that people will change, but until that desire to change has been shown, it's important to you know, separate dangerous people from society. Opposing norms that support male superiority, that support male inferiority, and like I said before, say that men are entitled to sex and women are meant to be submissive. These are norms that we can oppose through conversations with our friends, through dispelling myths over social media, through speaking up when there's problematic scenes in media or TV shows. And then this last one is one that I think is very important. Being able to support vulnerable populations. There are people who are vulnerable to both experiencing abuse and then going on to perpetrate abuse. And sadly, that can happen in communities where there's a lot of poverty, when there's not a lot of education opportunities, and when there is that cycle of abuse. And so to end that cycle, we need to support these families. We need to help them and provide healthy resources for them to learn healthy relationships and kind of break that chain before it continues. So there are real ways that we can affect change in society. No matter what legislators say or what other people might say, sexual violence is preventable. And it starts with us, it starts on an individual basis. So to end, oh yeah, really quick. So these protective factors are what research has shown protect against becoming sexual violence perpetrators. So like I said before, when children are emotionally connected, when you have those needs met, when we are emphasizing empathy and concern for others, and then safe and loving relationships. Loving relationships are at the core of this, and we can all be a part of that. That's something that we can all do to end this. And so I want us to think about how you right now, today, or sometime this month, sometime this year, will help prevent and reduce sexual violence. Based on the things that we talked about, what is something that you recognize in your community, in yourself, or in your family that you can work on? And it's okay to recognize that we have imperfections, that we have flaws in our society. You know, my family is not perfect, and we've had difficulties with sexual violence, and we have taken the opportunity to reflect on that as a family and to improve. And so yeah, I hope that you'll all ponder on that, but I'm open to answering some questions now if we have a few moments for that.
Yes, we do. Let me go ahead and turn off the recording very briefly so that way everyone can feel open.